Let's move on to the post-war period and the heightening tensions in the United States over the civil rights movement. Now, in this instance, it's a photograph that was seen contemporaneously and embodies many of the issues around which contemporary feelings of the civil rights movement can be distilled down to. So if we take this image, which was taken in Jackson, Mississippi in 1965, and again, Underexposed describes it as an iconic image of the time. What we have is a protest in this instance, but a strong authoritarian figure, someone who is clearly Caucasian, removing from a young child's hand the American flag. Now, the American flag holds a certain resonance within the US that is not matched probably in any other nation. Thinking back about this in preparing for these lectures, I consider what my reaction would be seeing someone putting the flag of St. George, the English flag, up. In the 1980s, I think there was a real discussion about this being wrestled back as an image for England from those on the far right. Certainly in the 1970s, the National Front used the flag of St. George very widely as portraying as embodying some of their imagery. I think there's still a slight resonance in this country about putting the flag of St. George up as opposed to the Union flag. In America, displaying the flag is a matter of pride. He's an African American. Now, just consider what this image embodies. In the background, being taken down, is a sign which says, "No more police brutality." You have an onlooker who's looking surprised and shocked. This is the reality of the point in time. It's not posed, it's reportage, it's taken as the event happened. Now, in the context of using images like this to consider history, something that I mentioned in the last seminar, I'd like you to just think about again. What was happening the moment before? What was happening the moment after? What's in frame? What's out of frame? In this context, I very briefly described this image, and looking at it, it appears to be superiority and authority shown by someone in officialdom over a youth, a very young child, who at this point is just displaying the American flag. I'd like you just to think on that and how that resonates with you. Now, just a little bit of a coda on this photograph. The young boy, Anthony Quinn, at the time, he and his mother were protesting at the governor's house over issues of police violence, of representation, of integration. And Mr. Quinn's mother was shouting at him, "Don't let him take the flag off you." The patrolman, Huey Kohler, this image lived with him for the rest of his life. And what was a moment which is described of frenzy and immediate frustration at being shouted at, he snatched the flag. It is said that he regretted it for the rest of his life. So again, one moment, one time, two individuals, and a message which lives beyond that time, that moment, and caricatured that person, in the case of the patrolman, far beyond what his actions might have justified otherwise. So again, thinking about what we have with images, how they actually can have greater meaning than the individual event itself, because they are there for posterity.